Hello, hello, everyone, and welcome to Beyond the Batter Live. I am so excited tonight. My name is Tamika Troxler, and as you know, I am the owner of Cup of Cake Greensboro, and I am so excited, all right, to grace your screen again for our episode 7. Tonight, we have the wonderful Brandy Baker. All right, on tonight. Of course, she is my sidekick in this thing. And we also have our special guest, Alexis Coley. And she is the wonderful owner of Expressive Espresso, the podcast. All right. So we're so excited to have her on tonight. And like I said, this is our 7th episode. Can you believe it? 7th episode. I really can't believe that. I got to pinch myself. All right. So thank you for joining us. And we're about to just have a wonderful conversation about podcasting. If you are interested in learning how to start your own podcast, well, guess what? You need to stay tuned, because we have our wonderful lady in business, Alexis Coley, and I'm about to let her have the platform and introduce herself to you guys tonight. Go ahead, take it away, Alexis.
Well, thank you, and thank you, Tamika and Brandy, for having me on Beyond the Batter. I'm beyond excited, so thank you so much. Um, I am the host of Expressive Espresso, the podcast. I started it in about 2017, around after my second child was born. Um, After having a child, of course, I don't know for you, Tamika, but like it somehow gives you motivation. And I started Expressive Espresso because I was tired of gossip. Now, entertaining Black people is great, right? I know we love entertainment and stuff like that, but I made it because one, I love coffee, and two, I wanted to make it the coffee shop for leaders. So leaders like you two, leaders like myself, a place where people can, relax, chill, get life hacks, listen to interviews that will help them, listen to other side hustlers. I title myself as a serial side hustler because I am around a lot of businesses and I have a few businesses myself. But enough about me. That's a little bit about me.
Well, that's just exciting. I mean, that's exciting within itself. I really like the fact that you zoned in right off the back with motherhood. All right. And definitely use that as your motivation. I myself am a mother of two, and I will tell you, Cup of Cake is definitely thriving off of my motivation with them. It gives you a different type of willpower to succeed, and it gives you that fire that you need to just keep going. All right. And so we're just glad to have you on tonight, but we're going to hop right into it. So, upon starting this Espresso podcast, did you know anything about podcasting? I think that's my first question to you. What really prompted you to start the podcast or to research information about how to get started? What prompted you after your motivation? Where did you go to find information about podcasting and all of that?
Gotcha. So I was on a podcast interview at around, I think, 2014, 2015. Um, and I forgot that interview. I forgot the podcast name. But anyway, that's where it started. And from then I was listening to other different podcasts, and particularly like a job, when you want a different job, you want to try to align yourself strategically with a person or that role, right? So I was an intern at a different podcast called Kevin Hates Hip Hop. And I was an intern there for about 3 months. And there I learned the back end. And I still didn't form my podcast until, like I said, 2017. Um, I'm married into a big family. We call out each other C6, and they are definitely, um, they help keep me grounded. They help keep me humble and motivated as well. And so that's where I learned the background of that. Oh, and also I was also while I was pregnant with my second child, I was also a DJ at Guilford College. So that was 90.9. And I wanted to do that to just help me get over that stage fright or whatnot. And so there was a lot of times where I know I'm saying right now, but there was a lot of times where I was stuck in my teeth and stuff like that. And people were giving me that feedback. And so that was really exciting and stuff like that. But I like to use the platform of Podomatic. There are other podcasting platforms that you can use, like Libsyn, and I think people use FM and stuff like that. I use Podomatic because I consider it the Facebook of podcasting. So if you want your podcast on Amazon Music, or if you want it on Apple or Spotify, things like that, which Expressive Espresso is on, they just make it the process a little more simpler that I found than other podcasting platforms.
All right, so Podomatic is that? Am I saying that correctly? All right,
Yes,
so
that's
that
correct.
is definitely one to remember if you are just started out and thinking about podcasting. Podomatic. All right, as Alexis Coley said, it's like the Facebook of podcasting. Brandy, I'm going to let you go ahead and ask some questions. I know you are eager to ask some questions about podcasting to Alexis Coley.
Hi, Alexis. So I was wondering, I think a lot of people before they start, I think like podcasting is something people like lean towards because it's like not video, it's not in the face, it's like not really face to face, right? So, and some people do face to face podcasting, but I think initially people can start kind of like behind the scenes where it's just your voice. But I think people still have fears, even in like people hearing them, it's live. You know, you can make a mistake with like speaking or your words. And like what you were saying earlier about like people saying, hey, I don't think you're noticing that you're doing this because it's just something natural, right? You don't hear yourself doing these things. So what helped you overcome like the fear of like, what do I sound like? Like, do I even sound okay on like listening to myself play back? What helped you overcome that fear?
Well, a little tidbit, I don't like listening to myself. Like honestly, I probably won't listen to this interview again because I don't. But the great thing about well, excuse me, the great thing about having the podcast is that you can edit all of those all of those ahs and sucking your teeth and everything like that, and you can make it sound clear. That's on a different software that I use. Some people start out with Audacity, and I just didn't have the time to learn Audacity. But it works for some people, and that's great. But I used well, right now I use an Adobe software. Anyway, I digress. But what got me over that? That's why I wanted to do the DJ first, and it just made me more comfortable being on the air and setting the songs for that night. It was actually from 10 p.m. to midnight. And so that fear of not many people listening at that time. But I still got there were some people who listened. But my first episode was terrible. I can't lie about that. And you just have to get over that. You have to get over that. You have to get over yourself because more than likely it's going to be terrible. And I still keep that first episode on my podcast just to remind me of how far I've come. So more than likely, I apologize. It's going to be bad. And that's okay
That's
because
cool.
people like, right. Yeah. People
Right,
like that
right.
authenticity. So yeah.
And that's what I was going to zone in on, is authentic behavior. I'm always a huge fan of people that just are themselves. Even if you are doing an interview, or even if you are podcasting or doing something like we're doing now, I think it's so important to just be you. You know, we have to get out of this thing of trying so hard to be so right. And I think that's what happens, and that's where we get stuck at. We have to make sure that, listen, there's going to be some falls. There's going to be some mistakes I make. There's going to be things that listen, I'm an English teacher. And I tell people right off the bat, guess what? I don't care if you're looking at my post on Facebook and you see something, a grammatical error. Guess what? So what? All right, fix it in your head, because I'm not trying to be perfect. This is my platform. My cousin's laughing. She knows I am. Fix it on your platform, but this is mine, and I want to be as authentic as I can. So I really appreciate that you said that, you know, just be authentic. People appreciate that, and we don't have to be uh, that perfect. You know what I mean? In whatever we do. Brandy, did you have another question for Alexis?
I did, and I was gonna just say, I think mistakes make people relate, right? Like, relatable when you make mistakes, because people are like, I make mistakes too, and oh my gosh, she's doing something that I thought I couldn't do, and I think I would probably have done the same thing. And I mean, I think that just helps makes the connection with your audience, right? We're real people, your audience is real people. It's really intimidating when people are perfect at what they do, right? Because it's like they've taken the time to perfect something, right? But we don't know about all the podcasts that they don't have anymore. Like, I love the tech that you said, you leave it up there. It's like, no, listen, this is number 100. Go back to number 1. And it's like night and day, right? And people need to see that process. So I think that's super cool. I was going to ask you too, like, what determines good content, right? Like, how do you determine that someone wants to know what you're trying to talk about? Or do you even think about that? Or do you just talk about things that you care about talking about?
So initially, I wanted to start off with entrepreneurship. And once I got into a groove, I and once I became, I guess, more confident, I just kind of focused it around what I thought was important at that time. So for example, I divide my podcast into seasons, and I divide it into seasons because we all need breaks, right? And being a serial side entrepreneur and having a family and things like that, I have to take breaks. Right now, my podcast has taken probably the longest break it has taken, and that's just because we're going through a rebranding phase. So it just depends on where you start off from, and then once you build that confidence and how you cultivate that, more than likely it's going to change, and you have to be okay with that, because I mean that's life too. So
I love that.
I love that. I love that. Um, I wanted, while you were talking about that, I was sitting here thinking, what are people most interested in? Are they interested in podcasts that zones in on business, or are they interested in podcasts that zone in on drama? Give us that.
well, of course it's drama, right? But the thing is that you have to find the correlation where your podcast agenda fits in. So for example, I don't know if anybody is familiar with this beef that's going on with Dr. Umar Johnson and Kevin Samuels, but with that, I listen to Dr. Boyce Watkins. And the reason I listen to him is because I enjoy how he always takes social issues and he makes it correlate to his agenda, which is finances. There's other people that do that as well, but that's where you fit in. So if I was to correlate those two, I would correlate it to business and how having these two men argue about something petty when they could possibly work together is not good for business. I mean, it's entertaining, but it's not productive at the end of the day. So that's how I would do it. You know.
I like that answer. I like that answer. I just, I knew the answer. I just wanted to know, your thoughts about that, because it seems like that's what you see on social media. It seems like that's what you see people dive more into, is those things that are just catching light that are not so positive. And so I wanted to know from a podcaster's perspective and point of view, how did you view that? Like, would you pull more of a story that is more, got some meat to it, or would you pull that story that say, you know what, this is going to be informal, informational to people, so I'm going to pull on this story more? So I like that answer. So as we wrap up, what is one thing that you can give to our audience that is thinking and interested in podcasting? What is one nugget that you can give them that they can take away today? I know that you gave out some good podcasting resources, but what is one thing that you like, one nugget that you would like to for them to take away today?
Well, I would just say that the confidence, and second guessing yourself. I see in the chat that says trust in your mistakes, and I would have to agree, right? Because it's pretty much a timestamp. Like I said, when I said that I keep that first episode on there, it's a timestamp, and it's also for you to view how the growth of your podcast. So I would have to say, of course, I guess it's cliche, but continue going, keep going, even when you get low views, right? Um, there's going to be those times where you get low views and you just will not hit the mark. But the important thing is you have to keep going, even in the process. So that's the nugget that I would leave.
That is major. Sitting here, we can all get so stuck, when I use the word stuck, in what we see as far as numbers, because we're so used to, think about it, we're so used to, now our brains function as and operate as numbers, likes, loves, who saw it. And if we think about it, back in the day, that was none of that. It was word of mouth. You saw something and then you went to go tell someone else. And so I feel like confidence has to be on the front end of the table. Because with confidence, what happens is that you get the power and you keep it. I don't mind having one or two viewers, because guess what? No matter what, those two viewers are going to take something, write it down, and they're going to use and apply information that we had on this. I almost said podcast, on this live. So I think that is really huge. A huge takeaway is that confidence. Build that confidence and keep it. Confidence is power. When you walk in a room with confidence as a business owner, as a podcaster, as anything that you are, becoming, I feel like that should be at the front and center of the table. No one notices that someone that walks in the room with their shoulders down, your head down. Yeah, you might notice them, but you notice that, guess what? They're not as confident as that person I just saw with their head up, that's holding the power. So that is really powerful what you said, confidence. That is huge. Brandy, any more takeaways or anything that you would like to ask before we wrap it up?
I don't have anything else I would like to ask. I love it. I think that I'm so glad you were here to talk about it. I don't think a lot of people talk enough about starting a podcast and the fears that are involved with it. And, like, don't beat yourself up about not knowing everything, right? Like, just kind of go with the flow. I like that you talked about authenticity, like be yourself, right? Be your true self. I think something amazing that you added was something that a lot of people that probably are like a little bit more of vets in the podcast, area would know about, like taking something dramatic and then using it and bringing it into what your vision is for your podcast. And that was like really cool, because I was like, we should actually have been talking about that actual dramatic topic, but just bringing it in, right? Because people want to hear about it. And because they always want to hear about it, when you bring it into, like, when you add finances, when you add entrepreneurship, when you add the things that you discuss on your podcast to it, it's exciting and it's the draw, but it also is like it's a space to educate as well. So I love that. I think that's brilliant. And I think there's no way someone couldn't learn and feel more confident and more comfortable with those answers tonight. And I think I appreciate you helping me and helping everybody.
I'm telling you, it was amazing. And another gem. What I would, and I'm just sitting here thinking. I'm always thinking and trying to wrap my mind around some good gems. And as I was sitting here, I was like, it's so like important to know that you're going to grow. You're going to develop correctly, but you can't grow if you stop. Right in the process, you got to understand that you got to keep going. And I think a lot of times, with starting any business, with starting any podcast, we want to get there so fast. And we might listen to that first video, we might listen to that second one. I know me and Brandy did it. We laughed plenty of times. But as you develop and as you grow and as you keep doing that and as you keep practicing, what you learn is that it gets better with time. Well, guess what? I am so excited that we had Alexis Coley on tonight, and her podcast, Expressive Espresso, the podcast is major. All right. You want to keep your eye on this beautiful woman and make sure that you tune in. And Alexis, could you go ahead and shout out your Instagram while we are on here so that our viewers can follow you?
Absolutely. And before I do that, I want to say thank you, Brandy. Thank you, Tamika, once again for having me on here. It's even just like you said, as far as with, the growth, like Beyond the Batter, that is a catchy name. It's exciting. And, it's great. And the growth that even I have seen with you two. I can see you guys are going to go there. But my Instagram is Alexis Danjou 33. So that's AlexisDanjou and 33. I only have Danjou for branding. I am a proud Coley. I love my husband, Jared. So, but it's just for branding because, it sounds sexier. So.
Well, it does. It definitely does. Well, you are major, and I always pride myself on meeting wonderful people in my life that are business owners and that are just doing their thing. And we just love you for that. And we have really, truly enjoyed you tonight. Viewers, this is our 7th episode. Guess what? If you're not tuning in, I don't know where you are, but you need to be sitting down front and center, looking at and listening to Beyond the Batter. We're major. We might be small, but one day we're going to be too big. And guess what? You're going to be called one of our managers. So I'm speaking that into existence. Love you guys. Love you, my viewers. Brandy, I'm pretty sure that you feel the same way. Alexis, I want to have you back on for some more episodes. Guys, it's been great. It's 8:38. Everybody's getting ready for bedtime. Guess what? Be good, love lots, and be good in business. Have a nice night. Bye-bye.